Hello everyone. So following on from yesterday, I'd like to welcome you to our session entitled UAE Market Analysis, Baby Leaves and Beans. So as with the Malaysian segment, the session today will include a market overview, a discussion on consumer preferences, supply chain analysis, and then lastly, Euromonitor's recommendations for the export of baby leaves and beans to the UAE. Okay, so again, as with yesterday's session, we used a combination of research methodologies to conduct this study, and that included desk research, trade interviews, store audits, and then consumer surveys. So I'll begin with a market overview. I won't go into too much depth here. I'm sure we're going to hear this over and over in the next few sessions as well, but the United Arab Emirates is a confederation of nominally independent states located in the southern Persian Gulf. So the constituent Emirates, I'm sure I'm going to murder these names, so I'll just go through them anyway. Abu Dhabi, Ajman, Dubai, Fujairah, Ras Al Khaimah, Sharjah, and Al Quwain. The economy is heavily dependent on exports, particularly oil, and indeed the UAE relies almost entirely on imports for vegetables and other basic commodities. Between 2006 and 2009, the population doubled from 4.1 million to 8.1 million due to an influx of migrant workers from South Asia and neighbouring GCCs. Okay, so now let's move on to discussion on baby leaf consumption. So baby leaf consumption registered negative growth during the historical period due to shrinking local production and tightening economic conditions following the global economic crisis. However, consumption trends seemingly hit an inflection point in 2012 as consumer sentiment gradually resumed to its former level. In addition, renewed investment in hydroponic technology and organic farming is slated to more effectively address the issue of non-arable lands in the UAE. So until 2012, baby leaves proved to be a rather popular food service ingredient at hotel, restaurant, and catering outlets. And the progressive development of consumer food service, especially in fast food and cafes, is expected to drive stronger consumption. Brassica and lettuce were most commonly consumed, however, spinach, chard, and rocket remain more popular among Western expats. Indeed, during our study, we found that lettuce, spinach, rocket, and chard have negligible consumption volumes when compared to brassica. So as a result, in-depth analysis was not conducted on those categories. So Jordan is the leading provider of brassica to the UAE in value terms, with China coming second. Australia accounted for a less than 1% share of brassica volume consumption in 2013, but a 3% value share. Retail accounts for 43% of Australia's brassica value sales, with 57% of the country's sales going towards food service. Nonetheless, Australia faces stiff competition from the Netherlands at more than double in volume and value in 2013. So the economic recession between 2008 and 2011 dampened bean consumption in the UAE. Long beans and French beans are used less frequently in daily dishes by the general population, with stronger patronage among immigrant cultural groups from India, Southeast Asia, and the Levant region. Long beans and French beans are also not significantly used in food service and are served minimally in salads and side garnishes. French bean imports have taken a dive in the last 3 years as local production witnessed an increase. Given its limited production, higher local production and generally self-sufficient neighbouring imports helped sustain the market with few Western imports. However, French beans are a relatively popular commodity in the UAE among Western expats. The growing expat population, coupled with expat-targeted hypermarket and supermarket chains, were the main growth factors in bean sales. Nevertheless, on the whole, long beans are still more popularly consumed in the UAE among Western expats, who constitute a larger proportion of the expat population than Western expats. Okay, so we'll now move on to a discussion of consumer preferences. And again, like with the Malaysia study, online consumer surveys were undertaken in December 2013 in the UAE. Okay, so more than half of the consumer survey respondents said that they had consumed both baby leaves and beans. And of those baby leaf consumers, more than 50% consume baby leaves exclusively at home, while 41% consume baby leaves at home and at food service outlets. This demonstrates the routine consumption of baby leaves by expat households, particularly Western expats. Similarly, 57% of bean consumers consume them exclusively at home, with long beans most prominent with Asian expats who use them in cultural dishes. On the other hand, French beans are most commonly used by Western expats. So within baby leaves, lettuce was most often purchased, accounting for a 38% share. Brassica was the second most popular at 31%, followed by spinach and then rocket. Baby leaves are most commonly incorporated into salad dishes, while lettuce, arugula, and chard have been pinpointed as popular choices for salad mixes. Meanwhile, chard and cabbage are also prevalently used in sandwiches, wraps, and burgers. In terms of other food preparations, spinach and brassica feature prominently in Western-centered recipes for their acquired taste and nutrition. Baby leaves, in particular rocket, chard, and lettuce, are also eaten raw. Long beans are most commonly used in fruit preparations reserved for stir-fried local dishes, but more fundamentally they are featured in Asian cuisines as a staple and are used extensively by Asian expats in curry dishes as well as sautéed and stir-fried recipes. The resounding popularity of long beans within the Asian community has rendered them a must-have item in supermarkets and hypermarkets frequented by Asian expats. Meanwhile, on the contrary, Western expats tend to use long beans and French beans differently, whether sautéing, baking, or dressing with a vinaigrette, to be served in salads or as a side garnish. So we also asked the question of how consumers view which countries produce these products as the main suppliers of these products. So a major proportion of respondents viewed India and the UAE as the preeminent suppliers of vegetable produce. So that's baby leaves in particular within the UAE. Local brands such as Fresh Express and Baccarat can be found in hypermarkets and supermarkets. In particular, long bean imports from India serve a strong community of Asian expats, especially in supermarkets carrying lower-priced commodities. On the other hand, French beans are not commonly cultivated in the UAE, and imports tend to originate from Kenya, so it's about 75 to 80% of the market. Egypt plans to increase its French bean exports to the UAE, but Kenyan French beans will remain dominant due to their superior taste and texture. Australian produce is considered to be of good quality. However, French bean imports are limited due to high transportation costs. With regard to long beans, Lebanese imports are also popular, dominating mass hypermarkets such as Carrefour and Lulu. Iranian imports register a strong familiarity among UAE consumers, showing solid dominance in brassica. Being a regional import, Iranian produce is also promoted in union co-op hypermarket stores. Okay, so now a discussion on sort of the distribution channels for baby leaves and beans. So with regard to baby leaves, hypermarkets and supermarkets represented the primary channels for consumers to purchase them in, and premium hypermarkets and supermarkets tend to stock up on high-quality Western imports, which appeal to Western expats. Meanwhile, mass hypermarkets offer an extensive range and quality of baby leaves that are both imported and locally cultivated. Premium hypermarkets include the likes of Spinneys and Waitrose. However, mass hypermarkets include Carrefour, Lulu, UCC, Almaya, West Zone, and Hyper Panda. Yeah, there's a store called Hyper Panda in the UAE. Wet markets and independent food stores, such as organic shops, registered fewer visits. So independent food stores tend to carry limited varieties of baby leaves, and products are priced comparatively higher. Independent food stores also target Western expats and Emiratis. However, these consumers are more likely to be interested in premium hypermarkets and supermarkets, perceiving such stores as offering fresh supplies and comparatively affordable prices. Okay, now with regard to beans, again, hypermarkets and supermarkets are the primary channels, and long beans are more often accessible through hypermarkets and supermarkets located in suburbs characterised by low to medium purchasing power. So this reflects popularity among Asian expats. Meanwhile, French beans, which are more frequently purchased by Western expats, are typically purchased at upscale hypermarkets and supermarkets such as Waitrose. Furthermore, organic food stores, which are typically located in high-end malls and shopping districts, cater to a demographic of affluent Western expats and Emiratis who prefer French over long beans. So in terms of pricing and quality, the majority of local consumers designated mid-tier pricing with above average quality as their main preference. So this is compared to higher price but excellent quality and lower price but with decent quality. In general, the UAE's vibrant expat scene signals high affordability for premium quality groceries. Plastic packs are generally preferred over loose and plastic box formats for baby leaves, while consumers tend to prefer beans in a loose format. Attractive packaging advertising the benefits of baby leaves is the optimal choice of consumers, while beans displayed in a loose format are considered to indicate higher freshness than sealed beans in plastic packaging. So according to the Ministry of Health, basic commodities such as fruit, vegetables and poultry are prohibited from sales promotions such as price discounts and bundled promotions. So this is to prevent fire sales of older and expired stock, taking into consideration the shorter shelf life of these commodities, which may potentially lead to health implications for consumers. Newspapers and magazine articles are increasingly spreading awareness about the health benefits of baby leaves and beans, subsequently boosting consumer willingness to incorporate these products into their daily diet. So internet blogs are also used as a tool for spreading awareness. So consumers are interested in product reviews and comparisons, and blogs serve as a common platform to obtain feedback from other end users. So it's sort of like sharing information. You like to, if you've tried a new recipe or you've tried a new product, you'd like to share it with other people that you know or find out about what other people think about those products. In addition, the globalization of cable TV networks in the UAE region with multiple Arabic dialect translations of major cooking shows has aided in further spreading consumer awareness and consumption of baby leaves, long beans and French beans. So I'll now discuss the supply chain analysis. So due to strong governmental support in terms of storage, distribution, market awareness and promotion, many local farmers and producers deal directly with the Abu Dhabi Farmers Service Centre. So that's ADFSC. And they do this in order to help them market their produce. So all fresh fruit and vegetable imports enter the UAE through the three main Emirates. So that's Dubai, Sharjah and Abu Dhabi. And about 70% of these imports are going into Dubai. So importers, wholesalers and distributors comprise the key players in the supply chain. Major importers have typically been in the industry for more than 20 years and have established a wide distribution network and key retailing alliances. These companies tend to import from various countries but re-export in small quantities to nearby countries in the GCC region. In addition, distributors also play an important role in the supply chain since many small-scale importers cannot afford a local warehousing facility. Meanwhile, the remainder of the market is open to stiff competition between small and medium-scale wholesalers and distributors supplying smaller-scale retailers, independent grocers and food service outlets. So imports are skewed to baby leaf at approximately 60% compared with 40% for long beans. Large-scale importers tend to supply baby leaves predominantly to HoReCa channels, with hotels garnering a 50% proportion relative to 30 to 40% for restaurants. Meanwhile, the remaining supplies are channeled into food processing. On the other hand, long bean supplies are almost evenly distributed exclusively between hotels and restaurants, while French beans are distributed in relatively equal proportions to restaurants and hypermarkets and supermarkets. Iranian and Arabic restaurants typically use green leaves, such as romaine lettuce and rocket in their cuisines, while cabbage is generally used by all types of restaurants, including fast food chains and Arabic restaurants. So, in contrast, European restaurants prefer iceberg lettuce. Hotels typically place large quantity orders for all types of baby leaves, since they tend to feature different types of restaurants and international cuisines within their facilities. Larger importers typically enter into yearly contracts with restaurants and hotels to supply baby leaves and beans at fixed prices, and most higher-end food service operators prefer to collaborate with only one large-scale importer. So I'll now move on to the section on Euromonitor's recommendations for the export of baby leaves and beans to the UAE. So just as a reminder, Australian imports accounted for around 3.3% of brassica consumption in 2013 in the UAE, and revenue-wise, Australian brassica imports fetched around $2.3 million in 2013. Popular countries of origin, such as Jordan, the Netherlands, and even China, are expected to become more competitive due to more affordable pricing and year-round availability. Between retail and food service, bigger revenue potential is estimated for Australian imports in food service as opposed to retail. Major importers tend to supply the bulk to food service, whereby variants such as cabbages are in demand by hotels and most types of restaurants. Okay, so to go into more detail, I'll now discuss our recommendations with regard to product mix and then pricing mix. So number one, we suggest that Australia focuses on brassica rather than lettuce and spinach. So brassica saw comparatively higher consumption than other baby leaves, especially in food service. Number two, create strong Australian branding for pre-packed baby leaves. So this could help circumvent the prohibition of price promotions. Number three, collaborate with retailers on a co-branding effort to pre-package baby leaves under private labels. So Australian suppliers can collaborate with big-scale retailers to pre-package produce at source with private labelling, co-branded with Australian-grown branding on packaging. So with regard to pricing mix, I know this one's a bit of a tall order, and it's very top line, but adopt technological advantages to gain price competitiveness. So Dutch and US imports in premium channels led to stiff price competition among Western imports. Australian suppliers can explore technological advantages to reduce cost. So that could include improving shelf life to reduce wastage, as well as seeking improvement in transportation facilities in and out of Australia. Okay, so now with regard to promotion mix, the first was to initiate promotional campaigns to educate the masses. So consider the fact that more than 85% of the UAE population are internet users. So food blogs and Facebook represent popular media to reach out to online users using comprehensive online advertising campaigns. Number two, build a strategic collaboration with TV cookery shows. So TV cookery shows serve as a viable medium to highlight Australian produce. So it's very similar to the situation in Malaysia, where people in the UAE are also interested in MasterChef and other sort of cooking shows that we get here in Australia. So with regard to placement mix, the first recommendation was to focus on niche markets. So premium positioning, more suited to high-end supermarkets and hypermarkets or independent organic stores that cater for expat and higher income communities. Number two, circumvent markups by middlemen. So bypass middlemen parties and markups by initiating direct collaborations with large-scale retailers, both premium and mass. And then lastly, collaborate with mid to upper tier hypermarkets for joint branding and strategic placement. So engage in joint branding with hypermarket and supermarket private labels with strategic placement incentives, which allows Australian produce to carve a stronger presence in the market. Okay, so that concludes my presentation. I'm available afterwards as well, and I'm sure we'll have a question panel after Michael's presentation. Thank you.